Assalamualaikum. Dia dengar suara saya jelas
Waalaikumsalam puan. Dengar tapi
Dengar. Tapi ada bunyi. Saya pun bunyi macam apa tu. Saya buat apa. Okay, tapi suara saya jelas kan?
jelas.
Okey, Alhamdulillah. Kita tunggu sekejap lagi. Stand. Kita mula quarter past 10 lah
Test.
So, kita mula dari Al-Fatihah ya. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So just to inform you, minggu test untuk test 1 akan diadakan right after the Hari Raya ini. So I'm sharing my screen right now. Nak tengok you all. Oh, dia kata some people will be removed from the meeting. Baik. Dia kata Kristi Azhar will be removed kalau saya start recording. Ada technical problem. Apa Kristi? So, you all nampak screen saya sekarang ni? You nampak tak ni? Nampak di screen dah? ODL test ni.
Nampak.
Okay, so I just share with you the schedule. Perhaps there will be some updates, tapi yang one thing for sure, the duration of the test 1 ni akan it will be starting from 17th of May sampai 24th of May. Maksudnya right after we resume back from Hari Raya Idul Fitri, so the test week will be commenced, okay, from that day. And untuk NEM 678 TQM, the test date will be on the 20th May. 20 Mei ya. So session dia morning, pagi, 9 AM to 12. Right? So itu sajalah saya nak highlight. I will share with you the test date and the time bila. Okay? Alright. So for today's class, we will proceed with topic 4. Okay. Just nak tengok attendance dulu. We have 27 now. Patutnya F1 ni ada 32 student tau. 29. Saya nak ambil gambar dulu. Okay. So saya stop sharing dulu. Stop presenting. I want to capture your ni dulu. Lupa dah tadi. Can you please on your camera? I would like to share. Dia 28. Please on your camera. Izzah dah, Siti dah jam balik dah. Tadi Siti keluar ni. Okay, Zulaikha? Cik sangat ni Zulaikha.
Madam, ada tak buku saya? Sebab saya dah open.
Nampak background je.
Betul lah, saya pun nampak background je. Tapi saya dekat depan ni.
Oh ya ke?
Saya dekat depan ni.
Your camera is okay or not?
Okey je sebelum ni.
Ya ke? Apalah, kita imagine je lah.
Okey.
Okay. So, ready? Balik sekarang Bismillah. Ini saya share. Okay dah. So saya akan mula sharing screen. For today's class, I will continue with topic 4. Kita akan mula dengan topic 4 ya. So topic 4 is about the organizational communication, management role, responsibilities and teamwork requirements. It's a quite lengthy in the topic, but I'll try to simplify it a bit here and then. So under this topic 4, just for information, I have not decided yet, but one thing for sure, for test 1, topic 1 and 3 will be covered. Topic 4, perhaps I will include a little bit on one of the content, okay? But I will inform you basically, okay? So under topic 4, the content of this topic include the organizational structure, the management roles and responsibilities towards TQM culture, teamwork requirements for TQM, and communications for quality. So perhaps one of these content will be included in test 1, okay? But anyhow, I will inform, okay? If I do include one of these. So let's look at in terms of the organizational structure, okay? So there are several types of organizational structure. So the one that we are going to share, I'm going to share with you is known as a basic types of the organizational structure. So first is known as the functional structure. So organization based on functional. And the second one will be based on the divisional structure. Usually divisionally untuk multinational companies, okay, yang companies besar macam National Panasonic, General Motors, okay, Toyota. And the third one is the matrix type structure. The fourth one, the line and staffing structure, and finally the project structure. Let's look at the functional type organizational structure. So this is the common setting whereby you see that it will be headed by a manager or the CEO of the company, okay? The general manager in this case, in this example. So I put as the general manager. And the finance and human resource, usually the two functions that will be right under the CEO, okay? And then below them, then it will be based on the functional type. Katalah R&D department. Operation can be, sometimes they put under the manufacturing department. Operation is also known as manufacturing department ke. Kalau it is in the service industries, perhaps you can put under the food manufacturing ke. And the product marketing. So let's look at the explanation under the functional type. So it says here that the functional type structure groups people together into functional departments such as purchasing, accounts department, production, sales, marketing, okay? And these departments would normally have functional heads who may be called the managers or directors depending on whether the function is represented at the board level. Okay, lagi besar company tu, usually they will be using the directors punya level. ataupun just a manager's level. Next, so this structure is based on the divisional type-nya organizational structure. If you look carefully here under this structure, under each of the product division, they have a structure according to each function juga, R&D, manufacturing, but it is actually divided into according to the division. So let's look at the explanation. So it says here that a divisional organizational structure usually consists of several parallel teams. So it is a parallel structure based on the functional type. So dia letak bawah division 1 ke division A, depending on maybe it based on the product. So example of a product line are the various car brands under the General Motors, for example, ataupun Microsoft software. So if it is a multinational company, usually they use this type of organizational structure. Okay. Next is the matrix type organizational structure. This is one of the very common and also one of the favorite structure adopted by many organizations. So they do have the top management here, the general manager ataupun series of the managerial level, and followed by the each functional structure dia kat sini. Okay, the production group. So each of the function here has got, each of the project refers ataupun has its own functional team. Okay, kita tengok explanation dia. Dia kata in the typical matrix structure, a project manager is assigned from within one of the functional departments. So let's say project A ni, they do not have their own team per se under the project itself. What they normally do is actually they will assign from each function to be in the project. So they create a team for project A, B, C and D, but they deploy the people from the each function group. Okay. So dia kata they are assigned as project team members from various departments who are released from their departmental duties, at least partially released in terms of the time for them to focus on the project, because usually project ni ad hoc basis, ya. Katalah you are in any of the industries, manufacturing industries. Usually when you have a new product to be developed, it is based on the project base. It is a project base. So if I can still recall, when I was in one of the organizations previously, whenever we have a new product to be developed, then we will set this as a project, and then it is an ad hoc. Once the project is done, then handed over to the production people, then just continue with our routine activities. It is different with the bigger organization when they do have the department of research and development itself. So they can dedicate the activities according to this group. Okay, so itu dia. So a high priority can be placed on the project while maintaining the functional division services. Okay, so this is one of the ways you can actually come up with your organizational structure. So the line and staff type organizational structure. So this is also common for a bigger organization. Okay, they will have the human resource department, director, the QC director, marketing director, production director. Okay, so these people will become an advisor, okay, to the group manufacturing ataupun to the supervisory level, to the managerial level. So let's look at the explanation here. Okay, So dia kata most large organizations belong to this type of organizational structure. Okay. So these organizations have direct vertical relationship between different levels and also specialists responsible for advising and assisting the line managers. So the people at the top level here is actually basically they are the specialists, and then they have the direct access to the every level of the operation, so that they can give input in terms of the administration, you know, in terms of the management activities or practice. Okay, so such organizations have both line and staff departments. So the staff departments provide line people with advice and assistance in specialized area. So for example, you see control advising the production department. So next is the typical project type organizational structure. This type of organization is known to be the most efficient and most effective for a project type basis. For example, in the construction side, so you need to have this type of organization in order to ensure that the activities is actually executed, monitored, and communicated effectively. Okay. So the project manager will not be, restricted to handling only a single type of project. They may handle several projects because each project is unique. So once the project is already completed, they can initiate ataupun commence a new one, okay, according to the deadline. So in the project-oriented organization, the project managers usually have a great deal of independence and authority. The beauty about this type of organization, you can make fast decisions and then you can execute the task to faster, okay, in a shorter period of time. So rather than the previous organization, though there are more the hierarchy. The more the hierarchy, the less efficient in terms of decision it's going to be. So in the project, you can't afford to have any delay and then any mistake in the decision making. You need to do the decision to faster. But the time is crucial in most of the projects. So the work mostly on a project basis and therefore structured around the project. So this includes construction contractors, architectural firms and consultants. So this type of project organization usually very popular ataupun common in this type of outfit. Okay. So functional structure, a bit of explanation on the functional structure. So far ada soalan tak? I like to check number 2. Ada 31 ni. Okay, good. So for this functional structure, dia kata the functional structure, the organization is divided into functions such as operation, maintenance, R&D, and so forth. So communication occurs vertically, up or down, according to the chain of command. So people are specialized in their own aspect. So employees are evaluated on a clear, narrow set of responsibilities according to its functions. So what are the disadvantages of this type of structure? So dia kata the functional structure is designed primarily for the administrative convenience. It's easier to manage, but in terms of diversification of the talent that you have in your organization will be very limited. Okay. So the functional structure separates employees from customers. Okay. One boss is the customer whom the employee must satisfy. So basically your structure, you just have the list of the hierarchy that you will attend to ataupun you will serve Okay, so managers are rewarded for satisfying the functional goals saja. Okay, still on the disadvantage, please. Okay, so the functional structure inhibits process improvement, okay, rather than encourage the process improvement. So no organizational unit has control over the whole process. You are only focused ataupun concerned on your own function saja. Okay. So functional organization often have a separate functions for quality called the PCC ataupun quality assurance. So this provides people with the excuse not to worry about quality. So the disadvantage about the function of the separate function of the quality control department, sometimes the other department tends to pass all the burden or all the responsibility to the PC department alone, okay, to look after the quality. So there are pro and cons, okay. So as we know that in order for an organization to successfully implement the total quality management in their organization, one of the main or primary concern that they have to look into is the organizational structure of that particular outfit. Okay, so because poor organization design can be devastating to a company. So it is already also being highlighted by Sir Edward Deming in his very pronounced the Deming 14 points. So he highlights that the must break down the barriers between departments. This is one of the elements that he has pointed out in the Deming 14 points. So how to break down those barriers between departments? Because according to Deming 14 points, it says that people work in the various departments. So therefore, you have to make sure that they are working as a team. Okay? So people cannot contribute to customer satisfaction and continuous improvement if they are only confined to their own function. Okay? Now, break down these barriers. How? Macam mana nak break down the barriers in terms of the organizational barriers ini? So, there are 5 ways of doing it, okay? Maybe there are several others, but the one that we will focus in this syllabus is only based on these 5 ways, okay? First, you can focus based on the processes, okay? Rather than focus on the product or focus on the project, you focus on the process. So the way how things being done, okay? So, and also you need to recognize your internal customers. Internal customers in this interpretation ataupun definition is the stakeholders within your organization. That is also known as the internal customers. So, and then from there, you need to create the team-based organization to work as a team. Try to reduce the hierarchy and use the steering committee instead of the overall function by itself, okay? Because usually under steering committee, it will consist of all the functions, and then this steering committee is actually will be overseeing the TQM activities. Now, so the breakdown activities in terms of focusing on the processes. So, process is how work creates values to customer. So, there are common business processes which include in terms of how do you acquire the customer and market knowledge. So, the process can be similar to any products that you are producing ataupun offering to your customer. But in terms of acquiring the customer and market knowledge, for example, in this case, what is the latest trend for you to produce a car, ataupun what is the latest trend in the car market. Okay, so in terms of gathering the information, the process itself should be the same, but for you to gather the information in terms of the car, small car trend, big car trend, SUV, the approach atau method mendapatkan maklumat tu will be similar. So you should focus on the process too. And then how to fulfill the customer orders. Okay. So in the operation, regardless of the type of products, the the way you fulfill the customer orders should be all the same in terms of the process too. Similar. Receiving the customer order can be in terms of the various type of product you receive customer order. But how do you process those information and how do you produce that and deliver to your customer? The process is all the same. Itu cara you melakukan ataupun you produce the product tu. So each individual product, of course, they will have a different SOP. But the whole journey of processing the product and then processing the order should be similar. In terms of purchasing pun sama lah. Okay, you get the quotation. Once you get the quotation from your supplier, then you place the order. So it can be, ordering can be in the form of many items, but the way you place the order, so the whole process will be similar. So you focus on the process. So you record all this process to become your standard operating procedure in terms of processing it. And in terms of developing the new product or services, it's the same. Traffic planning, so it covers for the whole process. Production or service delivery. So you should focus on the process on how to do or to distribute your items in terms of delivery. You engage how many the forwarding companies ataupun the agent to deliver the products, research and development activities, how do you perform your R&D activities, so on and so forth. Okay. So this is a bit of the explanation in terms of the focus on the processes. So individuals or groups known as lead process owners are accountable for process performance and have the authority to manage and improve the process. So process owners may range from high-level executives who manage cross-functional processes to workers who run the machinery on the floor. So when you focus on the process, it will have the full hierarchy from the top management until the on the production floor. So, ada lebih saya takut ada orang request nak access. Okay. Next. So now the next slide will be how to break down the barriers in terms of the internal customers' perspective. Okay. So it is, as you all know also, the internal customer is another person or group within the organization who depends on one to get their work done. So basically, it refers to interdepartmental activities. So, for example, if I am from the manufacturing division or manufacturing department, for me to obtain the material ataupun to get the raw material from the supplier, I have to go through the purchasing department. Purchasing will purchase for me according to my schedule, what I have planned for my production. So I will become the customer to the purchasing department. So the purchasing department has to place the order according to my demand, okay, my need. So my need is placed based on the production planning. And the production planning people, and I am also become the customer to the production planning people, because the planner has to come up with the schedule so that I can utilize the schedule to run my production location. So that is also known as the internal customers connection. So the chain of customers, employees begin to think about satisfying the need of the better lah. So based on my explanation, I hope you can understand what do they mean by the internal customer in this case. Okay. So okay, Juran. The internal customer is actually popularized by Juran. Okay. So he is the one who coined the word the internal customers ni. So he says here that internal customers may play the role as the supplier, processor, and customer in the sequence of product development. So the customer that I have, explained to you just now. So anybody in the department can become the customer to another department. Kita tengok di sini. So according to Rosenberger, it says that internal customer is anyone you count on or rely upon to complete a task or a function or to provide you with information. So sama macam yang saya dah explain tadi lah. Okay. So this is an example how to actually to show you clearly in terms of the customer and within the internal customer within the interrelated department. Okay. So in this case, katalah this product design. So the product design people, so the R&D, for the product design to come up with the product design per se, they need to get the feedback from the marketing department. Therefore, the product design is the customer to the R&D department, research and development, and also to the marketing department people. So before you, and then same thing goes to the manufacturing department. So manufacturing becoming the customer to the product and design. Because before you can produce, the manufacturing people can produce, you need to get their input from the product design. Okay. And then before you can produce also, you need to get the material or the order from the purchasing department. Okay. But somehow the sales department is the customer to the manufacturing department people. Because for them to sell the product to the user, end user, they need to get the product ataupun the finished product ready from the manufacturing department ataupun production department. So, okay, semua boleh faham lah? Diam tadi. Alah, suara mengantuk. So, again another how to break down the barriers in terms of the team-based organizationnya perspective. So, dia kata non-traditional ataupun innovative work environment relying on teams to achieve its objective. So, the team-based organization atau TBO, the characteristic ataupun its character usually include they have the mutual trust in the team, okay, and then they have the empowerment, employee empowerment in planning, organization, and goal setting. So empowerment basically each and everyone in the team members has certain level of authority to make decision, and then on top of that they will be accountable for their own decision. Okay, so all the decision must be based on facts, mesti ada fakta dia. Okay, so they will share the responsibility for self-management. So they share the accountability for performance, and they also share the leadership. So continue again with the team-based organization. So for you to achieve the TBO ataupun team-based organization, the organizational must redesign the structure into teams. Okay, so you need to create some flexibilities in the organization where at any point of time these people can be deployed to work as a team. Okay, so by bringing together everyone associated with the process practices that are wasteful or compromise quality, much easier to identify and eliminate. Because sometimes if you confine the people within their own function alone, it somehow limit their talent or their expertise into other areas as well. Okay, so people see and change procedures, and they could see or change in the functional structure also. Okay, so if a team is responsible for an entire process, they don't have to worry about the improvement efforts will be undermined. So usually when you work in a team, one of the best example teamwork in the activities is the quality control sector. Because usually under this sector, they would include all the uh, relevant people in the group. So therefore, they know exactly what are their functions. Of course, they have to be facilitated by the knowledgeable people. Okay. So this is an example of the team-based organization. This is according to the clear lake plant. The clear lake plant is actually the power plant. Okay, so power plant. So if you Google the clear lake power plant, their nature of power plant is actually the natural gas. Okay? So if you see that the core process team here, they consist of the team representatives from the council. Council is the municipal, macam kita kalau insyaAllah maybe the MDSA lah, okay, council dia yang enforcement team. So the safety team, the innovation team, the quality representative, and the safety. Because in the power plant, you know that safety is the top priority. Of course, when it involves environment, so you have to fulfill the regulations that will involve the team from the council. So next. So far faham ya? Before saya proceed to the next section, management roles and responsibilities. Is there any question from organizational structure itself? Tak ada. Tak ada. Okay. Good. Proceed. So the importance of an organizational change towards TQM. So if you really plan to go and implement the total quality management, it has to be the changes must be very radical. Must be very daring, and then must be ready, okay, for the activities. So the initial stage is actually to change the culture of the organization. So one important aspect of continuous improvement is the re-engineering. When we talk about business process re-engineering or organizational structure re-engineering, it will involve radical punya changes. Okay, banyak benda akan berubah. Okay, so this is the type of the organizational changes, the model that people always reflect whenever they talk about the organizational changes. Okay, first, if you are going towards a TQM, TQM is your main concern or priority of the objectives of the company. Okay, so one thing, radical changes in terms of re-engineering will take place in terms of the organizational structure itself. Okay, once the structure or the idea of it is already completed, re-engineering, okay, very comprehensive thoughts in terms of the re-engineering activities to take place. Then once this is completed, the series of thinking or evaluation will be done. Okay, be done and implemented. Okay, so once it is implemented, one thing for sure that you will see here, usually the common result that people will see ataupun looking forward to is actually downsizing. Kalau tak, no point of doing this whole re-engineering structure in terms of organization. One of the main reason is actually they would like to, you know, the what they call as the pool all the experts, and then from there they can actually reduce in terms of the hierarchy, and also they can downsize in terms of number of people in the organizational structure. So it will involve restructuring, and gradually you will achieve the TQM objective. So roles in the organizational change. So there are three basic groups of people who will be involved in any of the organizations. First, they will be known as the senior management people. They will be at the top management level. Middle management people, kalau you all nanti will be hired as the engineers ataupun executives level, you will be in this level lah, middle management. And next will be the workforce level. So each has a critical role to play in changing the culture. So a bit of explanation on each roles here. Senior managers must ensure that their vision of total quality is successfully executed within the organization. Okay, so the middle managers provide leadership to design the system and processes. So you detail out lagi the mission and vision into a small objective and achievable punya objective goal. So the workforce is to deliver the quality in terms of the task. So middle management has to break down the objective into smaller tasks and goals, then achievable, then to execute those activities, then the workforce level has to execute, and then the middle managers still has to supervise and oversee all the activities. So the companies adopt TQM for two basic reasons usually. Satu, for the competitive and then to become more competitive, and then actually the TQM also creates an opportunity to further improve your operation, because one of the major character in any of the TQM's practitioner is the activities that is known as the continual improvement. Okay, so under the continual improvement, so let's say you have improved your operation in one section, but there are always opportunities or the area that you can further improve from time to time. Okay, so yang ni boleh baca sendiri ya. So how organizational structure is changed? So first, leaders must articulate the employees the direction in which they want the company to go. So in this case, the top management or the leaders must set the direction. So the direction here is in the form of the company's missions and vision. Vision dia apa, but usually the company's mission and vision is very broad and general. So it takes the people at the managerial level or management level or middle level to translate this into an achievable ataupun into several achievable goals. Okay, so leaders must expand the cultural change through communication. So any changes that you're planning to do, you must communicate and disseminate this well into the all level of operation. So early success must be publicized. So any new success or any achievement that you have made must be translated ataupun disseminated to all the management level. So leaders must personally practice the desired behavior. Yang ni maksudnya you walk the talk. Okay. Also, what they said that action speaks louder than words. So you have to walk the talk and then practice what you preach. Okay. Leaders serve as the role models for the new culture. Same thing. 4 and 5 is actually you walk the talk, action speak louder than words, those other things. So some common TQM implementation mistakes. So when you regard the TQM as a program, so there's not much different as a project. Therefore, there will be each project there will be the start and finish. So once you stop there and you leave FTC as it is, then you are actually going towards a disaster of the TQM implementation. It should be a continual punya activities, and then you should adopt the TQM as part of your working culture. So short-term results are not obtained, and usually because TQM you are talking about the long-term activities. Sometimes goals are set too low. So you are actually already achieving it, but to be at the safe side, sometimes you just simply set the goal too low. So in actual, you don't see any improvement. So the whole organization will be demotivated and tend to discontinue with the mission and vision that you have set. Okay, so in other words, you are setting an inappropriate goal, okay? Because you don't do any homework ataupun any studies before. So training is not properly addressed. You don't train the right people in your organization, therefore the activities cannot be executed ataupun cannot be implemented as what you have planned. Okay, the focus is mainly on products, not process. So for the TQM implementation, you should focus on the process rather than the product per se. Okay, so senior management is not committed, so there's no commitment from the top management. So all the TQM activities must be top driven. If you don't get the full commitment from the top management, then it is difficult for you to proceed and to ensure that the TQM implementation is a successful one. So still on the implementation mistakes, the organization is too successful and complacent. Sometimes when everything is already in order, in place, you tend to be very complacent. So in actual, there is always ways to improve your operation. Okay, so you have to scrutinize and then always keep yourself to the latest update. Then only you can see the opportunity to further improve your operation. Okay, so the use of team to solve cross-functional problem is overemphasized. Sometimes, yeah. So management fails to recognize locality improvement in a personal responsibility at all levels of the organization, and little empowerment is given to workers, etc. So with the little empowerment, it actually will slow down the whole implementation activities. Okay. So how can you actually make the TQM as a permanent culture? Okay. So first, you make the involvement in TQM a required part of everyone. Okay, so everyone must involve in the TQM senior activities. Okay, so use the existing organization to implement the TQM. You can do the restructuring, but the existing organization still remain valid The only thing perhaps you may want to deploy or to restructure a bit, either you swap the activities, you add, ataupun you just deploy the manpower tu from one area to another, depending on the time and when it is needed. So you make sure everyone spends at least 1 hour a week working on the quality issues. So make everyone responsible for their own work. Change the measurement and information systems. So sometimes the measurement and information system also is a problem. Okay, the way you record the production ataupun the defectsnya issues, for example, everything is so manual. So for you to move in the to make improvement, you have to make everything I would say that transparent, and then especially in terms of the production information. Okay, you have to make sure that how can you disseminate the information to efficiently. For example, katalah from one shift to another shift, okay? During the transition period from shift 1 to shift 2, so you have to make sure that the information from shift number 1 to shift number 2 is actually carefully transferred. How do you do that? So you can use simple as what they call as the notice board. Okay, so katalah I am from the first shift, I'm the supervisor of the line. What I can do, I can just update, okay, our production record for today's menu from shift 1. Okay, target 400, produce 400, tapi the good one ataupun just letak reject is two parts ataupun two products. So at the end of the day, your actualnya good output is only 300 and berapa? 98 lah. Okay. So it means that with that information, as simple as that, it means that the second shift has to cover another two yang tak sempat tu in their shift. Faham tak? So you have to ensure that this information being related efficiently and correctly. Okay. Or you can use the visual board. Visual board just update. So the top management also ataupun the middle management at the office floor also can visualize that. Oh, the production, we don't achieve the production target for today's production in first shift. Therefore, we have backlog. So we so maybe you have to do the overtime ke, you have to rework ke, you have to spare the people from the shift 1 to rework their own work ke. So it has to be, planned and properly disseminated. So elements of TQM culture still, how do you culture that values? So it is actually based on the customers, based on the improvement. So you need to get the feedback. For you to culture that values, you need to get the feedback ataupun to be aware of the feedback from your customers. According to the customers, maybe feedback in terms of complaints so that you can improve your operation or improve the product. In terms of so with the feedback from the customer, the problem will be translate ataupun transfer to the team to work on to. So the team will collectively work as a team and address the problem, do the troubleshooting, whatnot. Okay. So what else? In the TQM culture, everyone believes that customers are the key to the organization future and their needs must come first. So sometimes you need to listen to what are the things that is actually is actually looking by the customer. So there are so many things here nowadays. you have to really very sensitive with the latest trend. For example, now the direction is all going towards the electric car. So what will be your next move? Maybe you need to get ready and prepare yourself of getting an electric car sooner or later, or what? Okay. So employee in quality-oriented culture must act as a team. So if someone was not at her desk, when her phone rings, anyone or another employee will answer. There is only a culture, okay? You don't left any calls unattended if it is in the office. Of course lah, kalau orang tu punya mobile phone, dia tak boleh nak interfere kan? If it is the phone ataupun the company's number, therefore it is wise ataupun it is fair for you to pick up the phone and attend to the customer. So organizations that focus on customers, continuous improvement, and teamwork usually have a very good chance of succeeding at TQM. Okay, so Malcolm Baldrige program criteria for performance excellence. So there are several criteria now. They are actually looking at this item. Okay, visionary leadership. They tengok ni juga customer driven excellence, organizational and personal learning. Okay, valuing employees and partners, agility in terms of how easy ataupun how fast can you make changes in your organization based on the latest punya trend in the market. For example, now every organization or manufacturing companies is going towards the IR 4.0. So how agile you are and how flexible you are in actually meeting ataupun in going towards the same direction. Okay. Next, still, how do you manage your innovation? Management by facts, social responsibility, focus on result and creating values, and system perspective. So all these are actually the criteria that normally look by the BNQ ataupun Baldrige National Quality Program. Okay. So these values provide a good summary of the cultural elements necessary to sustain a TQ or total quality environment. So what you can do, let's say your organization is going toward the total quality management implementation. So you can use these 11 elements as your guideline so that you can ensure that your implementation is going towards the right direction. Okay. So the successful story of the Boeing. So yang ni you boleh study lah your own ya. So you boleh baca yang ni. So these additional materials on the cultural change ni is actually a good reading material. So I am not going to go through this content. Okay. You need to have a good read on this content. It helps you to understand the issues better and helps you to become more informative in terms of giving the results in any test, in any question, or providing the in terms of write up for your assignment. Okay, so it helps you in enriching your report writing. So still on the additional materials, yang ni baca sendiri. So what else? So before I go to the teamwork requirements, is there any other question? Just to highlight to the one who were not together in the discussion just now, a little reminder. Kita ada 33 kat sini, termasuk saya kot tu. A little reminder here again that test 1 will be scheduled on the 20th of May 2021, right after Hari Raya. So the whole week we won't have classes nanti, but upon request, if you think that you like to have a short class just to have a good review on the test 1 punya format and style of questions, by all means, okay, you can always highlight in the WhatsApp group. Because by right, I cannot conduct the class during the period of time tu. Saya tak boleh buat kelas So today ataupun this week will be the last class kot kita kan? Ke tak? Do we have another meeting tak before the Hari Raya punya break ni? Do we? I have to check. Kita akan ada meeting lagi tak? Before Hari Raya ni? Anyone please respond? Sebab cuti
Madam.
Ha?
I think this is the last answer.
This will be the last kan?
Yeah.
So, kalau 17 tu, let me check because I would like to have so kita start cuti bila? Bila you all start cuti On the 10
Yes, next week. Next week.
10 of May
Yes.
10 of May, that means kita resume balik on the 17 tu. So 17 tu, kalau if you don't have any test, okay, let's look at the test ni because I would like to plan for a revision session. Sekejap lah, maybe 1 hour ke macam tu je. So, is there anyone here in this group have any ataupun already macam committed for the test for this week 17 hari bulan ni because it will be Monday 17. Ada anyone in this group yang will be affected with this schedule tak? Ada tak? Any feedback please? Because saya nak plan ni.
Pagi je ada test.
Pagi ada test. Petang tak ada?
Petang okey.
Petang okey. What about the rest? Siapa yang bagi feedback tu?
Saya okey madam, saya okey je.
So semua okey ke?
Okay, madam.
Saya okey je
Semua
madam.
okey.
Saya tak ada masalah madam. Tak ada masalah.
Tak ada masalah
Free.
InsyaAllah,
So
insyaAllah.
clear. So we just have about maybe 1 hour just to do the revision. Okay? Boleh I can plan 1 hour for Monday-nya 17 17 of May. Sebenarnya saya tak boleh buat kelas tau ni. But it's up to you. If you said that you don't want class also no problem. Kalau you,
I want madam, I want.
kalau you nak then kita buat. Okay? Just maybe 1 hour ke just to recap everything and then just to go through saja the previous test punya format. Okay, so that you can have the idea how to answer the question. Okay. So kalau okay then saya set lah on Monday tu just maybe 1 hour saja. Okay. Okay, right. So we just proceed boleh Boleh lagi kan? Saya akan cuba data ni. So 4.3 teamwork requirements. So yang ni semua it's not new for you actually. You are doing it day in day out among your team members. When you do the group project, it's all about teamwork. The only thing maybe to put into a more structured manner, you have to have a what is called as a macam the knowledge behind it. Okay, so team definition here. So a team is a small number of people with complementary skills. Maksudnya complementary maksudnya you complement your skill tu, bukan complete li complement. Maksudnya one person has a knowledge in terms of the solid worknya drawing, but another person is very good with the maybe numerical method. So you combine this become boom. Okay, goodnya project. Okay. So who are committed to a common purpose? So a set of personal goals and an approach for which they hold themselves mutually accountable, or for short, team is defined as a group of people working together to achieve common goals. Itu saja. So teamwork. So teams are very effective in solving all quality and productivity problems. So it's a cumulative actions. So each of the members of the team subordinate his interests and opinions to fulfill the objectives or goals of the group. So many heads are better than one. So each member have special ability that can be used to solve the problem. Okay. So many processes are complex that one person usually will not be able to solve comprehensively. Mungkin you can solve the problem but will not be so comprehensive ataupun so conclusive. Okay. So based on the synergy effect, whole is greater than sum of its parts. Okay. So teamwork is better than sum of its member contribution. Okay. So team builds a rapport with each other that allows everyone to do a better job. Okay, when you work as a team, you will have your own target date or target the goals. So everyone is working towards achieving the same objectives but with their individual goals. Okay. So team provide the vehicle for improved communication. Okay. So this is an explanation ataupun illustration of the teamwork. So the importance of teams, no matter what you are trying to do, teams are the most effective way to get the job done. This is actually the word from Donald Peterson, the former CEO of Ford Motor Company. Okay. So the importance of team in TQM. So teamwork enables various parts of the organization to work together, and the emphasis still meeting the customer needs. Okay, and then it recognizes interdependence of various parts of the organization. So the teams as a way to coordinate the works. Okay, and then provide the capacity for rapid response. So it helps to expedite and everything will be rapidly done. Okay. So types of teamwork, types of TQM teams. Okay. There are some common types. So ada macam-macam. So there are 8 altogether that has been listed down here. Based on steering committee is the most popular one. Problem solving teams pun ada. Problem solving, departmental problem solving. Usually dengan cross functional teams ni dia akan marry together. Okay. So natural work teams, self-managed teams, virtual teams and project teams. Ni jom kita tengok satu-satu. So the steering committee teams. Okay. So usually it is responsible for establishing the policy for the TQM. Steering committee usually the one who will steer and guide the TQM activities. This is the heart, the core of the TQM activities and people. So it provides the guiding implementation and evolution of the TQM. So they are not only reviews, they will adjust as well the policy ataupun the procedures whenever necessary. Okay. So the top manager overall responsibility under the steering committee, usually it will be the members in the steering committee consist of the top managerial level. So the creation of high-level planning group with the responsibility for the guiding the organization's quality effort. Okay. So the role of steering committee, tengok ni, the role dia to launch, coordinate and institutionalize the annual quality improvement activities. So the steering committee is responsible to oversee all the TQM activities. How? First, they must have the clear direction, mission and vision dia nak buat apa. Then on top of that, how to administer and manage all these activities. Okay. So one of the very crucial activities that will need the steering committee decision is actually the review of the procedures for the TQM activities implementation tu tadi. Katalah, for you to implement the TQM activities, you have to record in terms of the process, procedures, SOPs, everything. So from time to time, the steering committee has to set the policy that in a way that, okay, we need to review our system in compliance to the SOPs and activities every 6 months ke, on a yearly basis ke, contohnya. Because on top of that, katalah the TQM ni memang tak ada annual audit, okay? Like if you are the certified organisation with the ISO certified company, usually the certification tu only valid for 2 years maybe or 3 years depending on their findings masa dia buat audit. Okay, happens katalah you get 5 years flat, so after 5 years they will come and do the re-audit, but you have to schedule for that activities for them to come and do the re-audit, otherwise your certification will be no longer valid. Okay, so kalau ISO certified activities, okay lah, they dah state that, so you have no choice, by hook or by crook, you have to conduct the audit activities. But for the TQM, there's no black and white ataupun no rules stated that you have to perform the audit. The only thing is that the steering committee must have or must set a clear policy saying that, okay, we need to ensure that our activities is actually in compliance with whatever that we have already promised ataupun recorded, documented. So from time to time you audit lah, okay? Review and adjust whenever is necessary. Create the, so dia kata apa? The role of steering committee is to launch, coordinate, institutionalize, and then the steering committees are the focal point for the quality in the organisation. Okay. Now, let's look at into the problem solving team. So there are two types of problem solving team. Satu dia panggil under the departmental problem solving, and another one is the cross functionalnya team. Okay. So for the departmental problem solving teams, so usually it is limited to the employees of that specific department. Okay. So kalau based on specific department, usually they do have this standardized problem solving methodology here. Katalah under the production, they do have the problem solving methods here. Katalah if it is about the machine breakdown, so how do they go about whenever there are any machine breakdown in terms of procedure and process. So the group implements own solution and teams stay intact. Problems are diverse, but problems can be unique and diverse from time to time. Okay? But the cross-functional teams is actually, the team usually comes from several other departments representative. So problem include a wide variety of functions. So teams dismantle after the completion of the problem. So usually the cross-functional teams can be the person or the people from the departmental problem solving team. But the cross-functional teams usually the ad hoc meeting. Bila ada problem yang besar-besar and you need to gather all these people from other departments, just set as people. Then once the problem is already solved and completed, just resolve, and then everyone will go back to their own functional or functions to serve the company. So TQM teams ataupun natural work teams, people who work together every day to perform a complete unit of work such as assembling a motorcycle. And this one is actually referring to the assembly line team or even PCC2 pun boleh juga. It's a natural work team but under the quality perspective. Okay. So self-managed team. So the self-managed teams replace rather than complement the traditional organization of work. Okay, so they manage themselves in terms of the budgeting, scheduling, goal setting, ordering supplies, performance evaluation, and hiring. The self-managed team usually possess interpersonal skill as well as technical skill. So the self-managed team, if you look carefully at its definition and the explanation here, you can relate the self-managed team with the maintenance department. Usually they are actually they will budget, they do the scheduling in terms of activities, everything by themselves. Okay, they are a bit separated from the actual manufacturing team because they have to cater for the facilities, have to cater for the whole building, for the machineries, for the equipment, office lah. So usually they possess their own entertainment skill. Okay. So virtual team. Siapa tahu virtual team ni macam mana? Siapa tahu virtual team macam mana? Dia kata team members are physically separated. Boleh bagi example tak?
Macam team main game pun boleh ke?
Main game. Apa tu F1 pula dah. PUBG boleh lah tu. Tapi just if kita dah set dah dalam group work kan. So basically it is your virtual team lah. Kan? The assignment for the group work soon will be uploaded. So that also can be regarded as the virtual team. You are not meeting with your team members physically, but when the time comes, you are just for sure, one thing for sure, you get everything done according your time frame ataupun deadline that has been given by me for you to submit your work. So it's a virtual team. So anything, as long as it's done virtually. Office pun now is done virtually. Saya pun bagi lecture pun virtually. Okay. So virtual team as teams of people who primarily interact electronically, who may meet face to face occasionally. Sekarang lah. So project team will be the last one lah kita nak tengok ni. So project team is team whose members usually belong to different groups, okay, functions, and are assigned to activities for the same project. So yeah, so project team, one thing for sure, why do you need to be in the project? Usually you need to have the right combination of skills, abilities and personality types to achieve collaboration punya tension. Otherwise meaningless. Kalau setakat nak jadi sleeping partner saja, might as well don't be in the team. Okay. So what are the criteria to be or to have an effective new teamwork? First, the team must achieve their goal for quality improvement. Criteria for effective teamwork: the goal is achieved ataupun the goals are achieved. Okay, that means bukan setakat achieve tau, but achieve within the targeted time. Then only it is known as an effective teamwork. Kalau achieve juga tapi 1 year later, well, it's good that you achieve but it's not that efficient. Okay. So team that improve quality performance quickly and more effective than those that take a long time. So it involves the time frame. Team that maintain or increase its strength as a unit. So from time to time, you are not complacent, but you will try to improve from one level to another level. Okay. So team that preserve or strengthen its relationship with the rest of the organization. Okay. So 10 elements for successful team. So how they measure the effectiveness of the team based on that elements yang mentioned just now. Okay. Yang ni kriteria dia. But for you to become successful, you have to have a clear of all these elements ni. Okay. In terms of goal, nak achieve dia macam mana. Okay. Must be clear. Clarity of the in-team goal. So you set the goal for the QCC, your QCC to work successfully. You must set that every year you must solve at least one problem. But to be successful and efficient, you need to solve at least 4 problems ke? At least 2 problems. Katalah every quarterly you solve 1 problem will be very excellent punya achievement. Tapi at least every 6 months you save satu ataupun you improve satu problem. You set lah the target. It must be something that is achievable. And then how do you know that it is achievable? You must check your track records previously. So what is your trend and performance? So you have to come up with an improvement plan. From time to time, you come up with you do the postmortem, and you do the checking, and then you come up with the improvement plan, how to further improve yourself, okay? Now, whether you need to understand more on the certain instrument or tools, you need to go for training, okay? So clearly define the role of each members in the group. So clear communication, no communication breakdown. So beneficial team behavior, maksudnya each team members has its own or their own role in complementing with everyone, okay? So ada win-win lah, mutual punya benefit, okay? So well-defined decision procedures. So everything must be in place. If you're about to embark into any activities, you must have a clear process or flow of doing the work. So everyone will follow the same procedures so that no communication breakdown nanti. Balance participation. Bukannya A je buat 100% and then B and C goyang kaki. No. You must divide the task or delegate the task to evenly. Okay. So establish the ground rules. Maksudnya no one can make a single decision. Decision must be collective. Contoh. Okay. So awareness of group process. The process of the group itself. Awareness dia macam mana. From time to time, you know that what are the latest issues and so forth. Use the scientific approach. So any tools or instrument that you like to use for your process improvement for activities must be based on the scientific approach. Contohnya scientific approach apa dia? Contoh apa? Cepat. Contoh scientific approach. The 1QC tools that is also known as the scientific approach. Okay, it may look simple, but it is also known or considered as the scientific approach. Okay, jangan underestimate. So, advantages of team working. So, you can be progressive in making decision. Maksudnya the progress is clear, and you can make the decision at the shorter period of time. Okay, so believe that being involved in team will enhance their potential, okay, and also will be reflected in your job promotion because everything that you have done here will be recorded, and then if you manage to do more things over a period of time rather than doing it alone, so you have more jobs ataupun more achievement that you have done, of course, the chances, opportunities for you to be promoted to a better career advancement is very, I would say that promising. Okay. Believe that team will be private to information and typically is not available to individuals. So any information that is private and privacy not to be disclosed to anyone not in the group, so you must stick to it. Okay, must have ethics. Okay, enjoy the feeling of accomplishments. Okay. Advantage there. So you use the team to address personal agenda. One advantage there, personal agenda, maybe sometimes I don't know whether it is appropriate or not to use it for personal agenda. Okay, because kalau dalam PCC it is not appropriate to use team to address the personal agenda unless personal agenda in terms of the work that you have not announced for the management, but it is related to the working environment is okay. Okay, concern about the future of the organization and full sense of obligation to help to improve it. So enjoy the recognition and rewards. Okay, and then comfortable social environment. So if you have a good teamwork, usually you have a very comfortable and conducive in your working environment. Okay. Drawbacks of not joining teamwork. Satu, you have more outside commitment. So because you tak ada dalam team you, so chances that people might look at you as a redundant ataupun you are not occupied, then people tend to give you more work from outside sebab dia tak nampak pun your usage in the that committee. Okay. Fear of embarrassment with other members. So you may have this inferiority complex. So having overwhelming workloads because people don't see you work because you work in a silo. Therefore, you either work overloaded, your work is overloaded, ataupun you are not heading anywhere. Okay. You did not trust the management. Fear of losing or failure. Fear of failure or losing jobs is inferiority complex, and simply having I don't care attitude. Okay. So good team members attributes. So this is for you to have a good team members attribute. Especially members most important in teams. So representative of the members, okay, or the department yang good team members. Ciri-ciri untuk mendapatkan teamwork yang bagus. So it must be represented by all the relevant parties or department. So must possess the technical knowledge, must have the problem solving skill, so must have a good interpersonal skill. Okay. So common teamwork task. This common teamwork task is also applicable for the QCC-nya task tu. Okay. So yang ni awak baca sendiri. Berapa tadi? So there are 5 altogether. Problem selection identification, diagnosis, work indication, communication is crucial for teamwork, and organizational support. Okay. So successful teamwork practitioner, yang ni just an example, yang ni boleh read sendiri on your own. So in terms of reducing the hierarchy, we're almost there. So this is another way of break down the barriers. Satu lagi, apart from focusing on the process rather than product, focusing on the teamwork, and then apa lagi satu, focusing on the internal customer. Another one is actually reducing in terms of the hierarchy. You minimize ataupun reduce the number of hierarchy tu, so that it will be more efficient. So reduction of the hierarchical layers in the organization. So reduction in the middle management facilitated by the advances in the information system. So elimination of the non-value added activities. So empowerment of frontline workers and less supervision as well as coordination for managers. This is an example of the hierarchy based on the organizational structure. Kalau you tengok kat sini, if you look at this structure, it has the hierarchy very clear. So general, ada general kat sini, ada colonel and colonel. So captain pula, lead by captain. So sergeant pula, sergeant ada AB, ada private. So this is the hierarchy example, okay? So what you need to do here is actually for you to work effectively and efficiently, you need to reduce the hierarchy. But in the military, maybe they need to have this for the safety issues kan, ataupun security issues. But in the manufacturing organization, the best thing is actually to minimize and reduce the hierarchy. Okay, macam ni organisation ni, top management has the direct access to the people at the top management until the lower level. Okay, ni contoh-contoh dia. So this is the Maslow hierarchy of needs. So if you want to know more detail about the explanation, because according to Maslow, he says that in his book on the psychological books, he is the one who has come up with the books about the psychological and physiological needs. So he says that before one could proceed to the next level, safety and security, he or she must fulfill the basic needs dulu, or physiological needs dia. Contohnya breathing, food, water, shelter, clothing, and tempat tidur dia. So once they have fulfilled this, then only you can proceed to the next level. Then you can talk a thing about the safety and security. So in terms of health, in terms of the security, in terms of employment, in terms of the property, family security, and social stability. Once they have achieved this, fulfilled this, then only you can go to the next level. So next level in terms of the friendship, in terms of the family relation. So sense of connection between the members. Okay. So with this, everything is already in place. You are very comfortable. Then it will actually helps to develop your self-esteem. Okay, confidence you in terms of your achievement. You have respect of others. Okay, so the need to be unique as an individual, then it will be actualized or become the self-actualization in you. So it will actually develop your moral, your creativity, your acceptance of experience, purpose, and meaning and the inner potential. So I just want to show to you the reading material that you can actually read through. Boleh pergi kat Wikipedia ni. Okay, you can actually have a good read about the Maslow hierarchy of needs. Okay, so you boleh baca kat sini, have a good reading kat sini. Nampak kan? Okay, saya proceed ni. So saya akan keep the communication for quality ni for the saya habiskanlah sikit lagi because the rest is only ni. Communication for quality is very short actually. We have about 88. Now we are at slide number 25. It's about 13 more slides to go saja. Saya proceed ya. Kita habiskan ni, lepas tu kita boleh buat revision anytime. Okay. So let's look at the communication for quality. Sebab normally I will have a short break. Sebab maybe nak allow for the students to minum ke apa ke, but now nak break apa kan? I just continue but I will finish early. Boleh?
Boleh madam, boleh.
So kita finish early. Okay. So communication for quality across the organizational structure and between the customer suppliers. Let's look at from the across organizational structure. Dia kata basically the methods of communication. So this is common. So methods of communication, there are verbal communication, written communication, and visual communications. Okay. verbal between the individual, either one-to-one or in a group. Macam sekarang ni lah, verbal communication, but via the electronic devices. Okay. So written communication in the form of notices, bulletins, information, reports, email, that is written communication. Okay. Documentednya, procedures, written communication. And visual communication such as posters, films, footage, videos, intranet, exhibition, those are known as the visual communication. But for communication for quality, usually kita akan combine all these three punya types of communication punya means. Okay. So, but generally the information for the TQM activities, the information being disseminated using the three methods mentioned: visual, verbal, and written, okay, communication. But however, you have to determine ataupun identify which of these communication methods is actually suitable for which level of people. You rasa for you to disseminate the information to the production floor people, you rasa what type of communication method yang sesuai? Communication method yang mana yang sesuai untuk disseminate the information at the production level ataupun workforce level? You rasa what type of communication? Cepat-cepat. Saya nak get your feedback ni. Yang sesuai. Tak ada jawapan. What type of communication yang sesuai? Zul, cepat Zul, jawab Zul. Ni, Zul ajar, Zul Zaim. Zul Zaim, cepat. What type of communication yang suitable? Siapa suruh live meeting ni? Ya Allah.
Puan, boleh minta ulang balik tak soalan?
So, for you to communicate with the people ataupun with the workers at the workforce level lah, with the workers, so what type of communication do you think it is appropriate for you to use bila you nak communicate dengan people at the production floor? Communication jenis apa? Written communication, verbal communication ataupun visual communication?
Verbal and visual communication.
Verbal and visual communication. What about written?
Written perlu juga, tapi sometimes diorang tak nampak, so usually pakai verbal dengan visual.
It is more effective, to know more detail, then you boleh cakap, they refer to the written communication procedures. You need to have that in record, okay, because whatever yang being displayed tu sometimes may be obsolete, but the latest updated one sometimes yang documented punya kan. So all are important, but the most effective one betul lah. Okay Alif, thank you. Memang the visual and the verbal communication is more effective at the operational level. Okay, good. Ini siapa ni? So saya proses sikit lagi.
Siap
Soalan tu, contoh soalan test saya memang bagi soalan tu, saya akan ask what are the appropriate communication tools ataupun method for what level of people. So this is the example, the communication where they use meeting, monthly department meeting, email, members of the email circle, newsletter, okay. So the directive should include the following. So usually katalah the instruction atau directive from the top management. So the content of the directive tu basically should include the following items, okay. Contohnya must have the need for the improvement. You kata you nak buat improvement, why do you say so? Why do you need to do the improvement? You want to increase the productivity, you just say increase productivity. Why do you want to increase productivity? Because you want to increase the number of good items ataupun the capacity, your production capacity. Okay. So in terms of the concept for the total quality tu, what are the concepts that you like to adopt and adapt? Okay. So importance of the understanding the business processes. Okay. So highlight that. Why it is so important. Okay. Approach that will be taken and people's role. Okay. You need to highlight that clearly. So individual and process group responsibilities need to include. Perhaps you don't include that in the directive view, but you may have the attachment part of it on how are you going to make sure that these activities ataupun being carried out successfully. So the principle of the process improvement tu, what will be the approach, principle or the concept that you like to adopt and adapt. So you must be ready for those. So communication for quality still, basically the communication to link the senior, middle and workforce management levels. Okay. So this is an illustration in terms of the customer-supplier interfaces model. So the core of the TQM is the customer-supplier interfaces. Okay, both externally and internally. At each interface, it intervenes a number of processes. Ada number of processes, okay, communication involvement. That is supported by the people and the system. Okay. So the processes supported by the people and the system. Okay. So the core must be reinforced by commitment to quality, communication of quality messages, okay, with good TQM working culture. So this model, how do you actually elaborate ataupun interpret this model? So you can refer to this explanation. Ini saya buat sendiri ni. Okay. So next, communication for quality customer relationship, customer supplier relationship in TQM. Okay. So every company is part of a long chain. So each company is a customer to its supplier and a supplier to its customer. So it is a mutual punya relationship. Okay. So your customer supply, your customers are your customers as well. So customer you, the customer of your customer is also your customer. Okay. So creating mutually beneficial relationship with suppliers and customer ataupun dipanggil sekarang CSR lah, okay? Corporate social responsibility. So expanding the pie rather than arguing over its division. So you share the pie. So type of customers, external and internal. So type external outside the organization, people who pay the bills such as the end user customers ataupun manufacturer yang produce the OEM, the original equipment manufacturer for suppliers. So internal people within the organization. Yang ni repetition ya. Kita baca tadi. So the importance of customers. The customer at the center of the TQM activities, devoting to satisfy them is the first principle of TQM. So one of the principle of TQM is actually fulfill the customer's requirement. So fulfilling, you satisfy them, okay? So customers are recognized as the guarantee of the organization's continued existence. So as long as you fulfill the customer requirements, the customer has the confidence against your organization, so you have that reputation. Okay. So with that reputation, it helps you to sustain in the industry. Okay. So in terms of the importance of the customer satisfaction, so satisfaction is an attitude, loyalty is a behavior. Okay, so loyal customer spend more and are willing to pay higher prices with new clients and are less costly to do business with. Sometimes with your reputation, good reputation can be in the form of you are able to meet the deadline. Katalah you are the supplier, so I am the customer, I am ordering the parts from you, so you have been my loyal supplier in the sense that you are able to meet the deadline. Every time I place your order, you can deliver to me without fail. On top of that, you can deliver according to my requirements, fulfill my order with the good quality. Okay, so perhaps your price is slightly higher than other suppliers, but with your good reputation, I would rather remain getting the parts or product from you because I know that I can rely on you or count on you. So yang tu maksud dia, yang point number 2 tu, refer new clients and are less costly to do business. Even the new clients maybe will offer you at cheaper prices. You tend to stick to the one that giving you the good service. Okay. So it costs 5 times more to find a new customer than to keep an existing one happy. Sometimes for you to develop a new customer, I see. Okay. Because for you to find a new customer, sometimes you have to advertise really hard. Okay. Still not sure that don't give you the assurance that you'll get the new customer, kan? So how do you identify the customer need? So macam mana nak get the customer need? This is actually the point that you can actually include for your assignment. Identifying the customer needs through focus group discussion. So katalah focus group maksudnya katalah because I have already assigned you with the project, no? So perhaps for you to work on your own, maybe you won't get the very good or comprehensive punya, conclusive punya outcome. So you can work in the group. So your group is already focused to discuss on the same subject matter. So individual and group interviews. So or you may conduct interviews, oral interviews, ataupun you may conduct the survey, written survey. Okay. So study, repair and return data, or you may study the existing data that you have based on the warranty claims-nya reports, okay, based on the customer complaints-nya data, based on the competitors-nya product-nya performance. So you can compare against your new product that you like to develop ataupun your existing product that you have in-house. Okay, so the importance of suppliers. So you know that supplier is also important in any manufacturing industries because you go and die together with your suppliers. Okay, basically. So suppliers shape the quality of the processes used to produce the product. Also, it influences the cost as well as the quality of the product, which is very true. Okay? So the principle for customer suppliers relationship under total quality management. So in terms of recognition of the strategic importance of the customers and suppliers, so basically you like to develop the win-win situation between the customer and suppliers. Okay, if your supplier able to supply to you on time with a good quality product, you also have a good reputation by having supplying to your customer or your clients on time as well. So you establish the relationship based on trust. So trust is developed usually over time, and then it takes a lot of I would say that series of improvement before you can actually gain that mutual trust. Okay. So this is some of the practices for dealing with suppliers. So purchasing decision based on quality as well as cost. Okay. So you don't purchase not only based on the price, you purchase based on the overall, especially based on quality and cost. Okay. So you reduce the number of suppliers. If you able to reduce the number of suppliers, one thing for sure, you can reduce the number of the administrative costs. And then another thing, in terms of variation in the incoming products and the small number of partnership. So for the big organization who has got capacities, large capacities, sometimes for them to get their parts or supply from only a single supplier is very risky. Okay, what they do is actually to reduce the number of suppliers. What they do, they create the supplier chain connectivities. So they will create the first tier suppliers, second tier suppliers, third tier suppliers. Okay. Let's say I'm the national company, national automotive companies car. Okay, katalah A product. Okay, I'm producing a product and my my business not only covers the local industries but also overseas, okay, international. So for me to have only a single supplier for a particular part is very risky. What I do, I will reward ataupun award the contract to the first tier supplier. But at the same time, I will make sure that this first tier supplier must have the record of having another level of supplier beyond or underneath. So maksudnya bagi pada seorang. So in a way you are only controlling the first tier, but the first tier supplier must have the good control over the another tier of supplier, second tier or third tier. But the information about the third tier or second tier performance must be well disseminated ataupun transferred to the or updated to the customer tu tadi. Macam ni lah. So you faham tak? This is how the concept of the supply chain nya, which is involve the supplier and the customer. So normally in terms of contract, they go under the long-term contract because they are looking for the capacity, and with the bigger capacity, usually you can offer at a cheaper price. Okay. So developing the cooperative relationship and early involvement of supplier in design of the new products. Okay. So usually whenever you have a new product to be developed, you will make sure that you will get the supplier to be involved in. So whichever that, so being part of the new product development, normally you will get this particular suppliers, relevant suppliers, to be part of the to be involved in the discussion as well. Okay, so joint quality planning between customer and suppliers. So this is an example of the customer quality customer supply relationship, GE Appliance and DJ. And then so dia kata apa, DJ went from being one of GE suppliers to its sole source, GE suppliers and Minas in SPC. So early product involvement. So this is an example. So the rest are all additional materials. You can have a good read of yourself. Okay. So basically kita conclude topik 4. So the rest ni baca sendiri ya. 4.9 ni ayat yang show. So far ada soalan tak?
Tak ada pun.
Tak ada. So kalau tak ada soalan, as promised, so I will end the class session until this 4 PM. So the rest of the time, okay, before kita end the session, again I would like to remind you, please take your attendance for this class kat sini. Mari saya tengok siapa dah apa tu tanda your attendance, siapa belum. Okay. So ada yang belum, banyak lagi ni. Please make sure you take your attendance kat sini ya. Nampak kan? Saya still presenting kan?
Still.
Nampak pun.
Make sure you take attendance And then is there any question about the assignment so far? Before kita end, just would like to ask you. Kalau tak ada lagi, tak apa. Okay. And then again, for the previous class, you can access to the recorded link ni. So you can get the video presentation yang of our class tu recorded tu. I will upload here, okay. So kita takkan, I won't upload immediately. But usually after 1 hour we have already resumed, we have already concluded, then only the video will be ready. Then I will upload lah accordingly. So that's all for today. So I wish you all the best. So just be prepared for test 1. So definitely question number 1, number 2, from topic 1, 2 and 3 will be covered. Okay. So saya akan stop presenting. Ni semua dah ada dah ni. Ambil gambar lagi sekali. Ketiwan ni. So on camera please. Nak tengok muka mengantuk ni mana. Cepat-cepat on camera. Okay. Yang gelap tu cerahkan. Siapa tak ada kamera? Kamera apa? Kamera problem. Okay, tak apa. Yang tak ada problem tu on camera. Liliana, Syafi, Syakira tak ada kamera ke? Hafizah? Ni? Isti Azhar? Okay. Tadi tu keluar kan? The system kick you out lah. So sorry. So Syazwan? Zul Zain, Zul. Isrida, Muhammad Zarul.
Dah buka.
Izzati. Dah cepat-cepat on camera, cepat. Ni tangan tu, besarnya tangan Saibul. So M ni siapa ni? Muhammad Syazwan. Syafi, tak ada kamera. Zulaika tak boleh. Izzati dah. Okay, Muhammad Syairi. So saya ambil gambar sekarang, saya snap. Upload, admit, and screen. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, just in time. So saya masukkan dalam kita punya group. Okay. So group F1 ni bukan F1 So group ni I have checked already in the WhatsApp group. Only 31 students has given me the name, email name, because saya nak save this email address in the Flipgrid so that you can have the access into the Flipgrid tu. For you to upload your video, I'm using the Flipgrid, okay? So that you can just record your video using the Flipgrid new software. I think you all familiar kot dengan Flipgrid ni. So, sekarang ni saya dah check tadi dalam WhatsApp group kita ni only 31 students. By right yang registered is actually 32. So please make sure, please there's another one person to please key in your email address so that I can copy and add in the Flipgrid so that you can have the access into the Flipgrid for your video presentation tu. So that's all. So dengan with this, saya sudahi dengan wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Saya habiskan dengan tasbih kafarah dengan suratul As. Okay, saya akan stop recording. So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih for attending the class. Semoga kita diberkati dan selamat berbuka ya. Selamat Hari Raya lah. InsyaAllah.
Terima kasih.
Okay.
Terima kasih buat.
Selamat Raya.
See you.
Selamat Raya.
Boleh balik.
Okay.